Good evening, everybody. I'm so pleased to have you all here. I do apologize that yesterday's session did not happen, but we are here today, and I'm so excited to deliver this to you because today's topic is a topic that I want to explore due to it being something that we all experience in life, whether that is as traders or just generally as humans. So, of course, as always, we want to go into the depth of the things that may potentially be standing on our way of becoming better traders and evolving as traders. So, today we're going to cover that in our webinar. So, if you're here for the first time, welcome. We are so happy to have you here. If you're here again and you regularly come to our webinars, it's so great to have you here again. Now, on Wednesday at 6 p.m., we will do an extension of this topic, which is going to be a workshop that is going to be more actionable. And I'm going to provide you with tools to help you deal with certain areas of stress. Now, this topic today here is about understanding stress because, again, we can only change something and we can only implement something when we have a full understanding and awareness of what is happening. However, on another hand, I want to give you a different perception of stress. I don't want stress to be only perceived in a negative manner. And there is a reason for it. There is a reason for it because I believe when we are going to open that other area of stress, that other perception of stress, that perhaps is going to shift certain mindset areas and certain ways that you see things, your situation, and see it in a more positive rather than negative light. Okay, so we are going to focus on the two sides of it, the positive and the negative, and we are going to talk also about how we can utilize the good sides of stress and how we can avoid the harmful sides of stress. So I think that is extremely important because stress, just like stop losses in trading, stress doesn't go away. Stress is something that is a constant in our life. However, we can learn how to utilize it and how to avoid other areas of stress that perhaps are going to have impact on us. And just in general, I want to just share with you, because we're going to kind of go into the detail of how stress is defined, but you can experience stress on daily basis from kind of low, moderate to high kind of stress, and that will all depend on the life event or what you might be experiencing, specific situation, whether that is in kind of on daily basis or whether that is on the charts. And I just want you to always remember that despite of the positive or negative, stressful situations can help you build resilience. And there are things in our life that we will have zero control over that will cause us perhaps moderate to high stress levels, but it is our job to equip ourselves in the skills to minimize the harm of that stress and perhaps even, like I said, use it in our advantage. And I think during last webinars and workshops, we discussed about letting go and letting go of the things we cannot control. And we kind of also touched a little bit on stoicism and to really be focusing on the things we can take control over. Because otherwise it's a waste of your energy and perhaps it can increase your stress levels. So it's a kind of a continuation of what we have discussed, not as such continuation, but kind of dragging more of the area to just solely focus on the things we can take control over. Okay, so what is stress? So based on what is stress, I pulled out for you a definition from World Health Organization, and it says that stress can be defined as a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. Stress is a natural human response that prompts us to address challenges and threats in our lives. Everyone experiences stress to some degree. The way we respond to stress, however, makes a big difference to our overall well-being. So again, it is all about how we are going to respond to stress. And it is also all about how we are going to understand stress, how we are going to use it, how we are going to perceive it, how we are going to understand it, and what we are going to do with the information that is given to us. Because one thing is that it is very easy to go the easier route, the route that the stress is always harmful, and to give in to our response of when something doesn't go our way, and into complaining perhaps, and into seeing the situation through the worst lens, where actually that can change. And I want to highlight that very, very strongly to you, because again, it just shows that everything is in our minds, that the whole power is in our minds. And based on that information, I want to share a study with you, psychological study that has been performed. And let me read it out to you. And then after this session, I'm also going to share with you the TED Talk of the psychologist who performed that study. And she talks about that study in great depth. And she talks about how the stress can be experienced in the same way, but the way we perceive stress can actually alter the way we are going to attack it, the way that we are going to respond to it, the way that we are going to logically engage in solutions. And that for us as traders is critical and important, because this is exactly how we will be perceiving a certain situation in the market, such as drawdown, such as experiencing a losing streak, having a losing week, or maybe a month, or maybe having technical issues and actually hitting your daily loss and losing the account. All of those things will have an impact. And there are some things we cannot control. There are some things that we can control. And now I'm referring back to the workshop that we have discussed. But also it's about the perception of the situation and seeing how that situation can serve you in so many different ways. However, let me share the study with you, because the study is extremely powerful. And this is something that I want to share with you. So there has been a study done to measure how harmful stress is. The study tracked 30,000 adults in the USA for 8 years. They started by asking people how, or sorry, the study started with asking people how they feel about stress with the baseline questions. So the baseline question was, how much stress have you experienced in the last year? Okay. They also asked people, do you believe that stress is harmful in your life? Then they found public death records to find out who out of those participants have passed away, or had any chronic illnesses. The people who have reported that they have experienced a lot of stress in the last or past year had increased by 43% their risk of dying. But there is a catch. There was only true for people who also believed that the stress is harmful to their health. Then people who have experienced a lot of stress in a past year but did not believe that stress was harmful, they were no more likely to die. In fact, they had the lowest risk of dying even over the people who reported a little stress in the last year. So the researchers predicted that based on that study, that 182,000 of people in the US would have died prematurely, not from the stress, but believing that the stress is harmful. So let me break that down for you now, okay? Because it's a bit of a mouthful. So you ask people how much stress they actually have experienced. How much stress have you experienced in the last year? And I want you all to think about it. How much stress have you experienced in the last year? Okay? Think about your personal life. Think about your trading. Think about your work. Think about anything that might be related to stress. How much stress have you experienced in the last year? Now, I want you to also think, do you believe that stress and that stress that you have experienced is harmful to your life? Answer that to yourself honestly, not based on what I have said. Honestly, okay? Now, based on that study, what that study is saying is that those people who report that they have experienced a lot of stress, a lot of stress, have increased chance of getting diseases, of reducing their immune system. Okay. However, that is only related to people not who just experienced a lot of stress, but to those people who believe that stress is harmful. Because those people who even experience large amounts of stress, but they believe that the stress is not harmful, they are likely to get less diseases, have less chance of passing away earlier than they should, than those who said that they have experienced little stress, but they believe is extremely harmful. So essentially, it's all about how you interpret those things, right? Because remember that the main finding from the study was that 182,000 of people in the US would have died prematurely only based on their belief of stress. So what this study shows that you may actually experience a little stress in your life, something that is not world shattering. But if you continuously tell yourself that your situation is terrible, that this is a kind of make or break situation and you can't deal with it anymore, then that is going to have way more harmful effect on you than if you experience traumatic stress but told yourself that actually will not impact your life. That just shows the power of your mind, that it actually does not sometimes matter what situation that you are faced with in your life, but what you are going to do with that situation, how you are going to face that situation, what are the things you are going to do to implement growth, understanding, spending time on understanding your situation, spending time on logically engaging within that situation, and what are the positives that could come out of it. The belief system alone shows here that the belief system about even little stress can have an impact on premature death. Not the magnitude of stress, your perception of stress, even if it's little. So you hold an incredible amount of power in your mind. You hold an incredible amount of power within your thoughts. Very often, it is easy to give in to our negative thoughts and to actually perceive our situation to be a lot worse to what it actually is. But if we refocus and we focus on the gratitude, which we have discussed in other webinars, and actually see the privilege that we have in a situation, then that's going to have a huge impact. And we have discussed all of those things in limiting beliefs topics in our webinars and growth mindset as well, that it is a lot about interpretation. Okay, so you can alter your reality with your mind, and that is a scientific fact. Okay, because the way you are going to change your mind about stresses in your life can change your body response to the stress. And as always, we open up the topic about stress, and I want you to understand the biology and psychology behind it, where then we can relate it to trading. And this is why we have the workshops on Wednesdays, because then we implement it into trading world. But at first, in order to implement it, we have to add depth to the topic, because the depth of the topic is going to allow us to understand ourselves better from the psychological and biological point. And once you do that, then you are able to then discover yourself from the perception of your experiences and how you can align the information and put it into action. Okay, so this is where I want to talk about how you as an individual will react to stress differently, and there are reasons for it, and those reasons are the reasons that we discuss in every webinar, and where we approach different topics such as the belief system, such as limiting beliefs, such as your past experiences, such as upbringing, such as, you know, the culture that you come from, what your parents have believed in. All of those things will be planted in your subconscious, and all of those things will have an impact on how you respond to stress because of the way that you are going to interpret the situation. And a lot of those things that you are going to interpret from the external world, okay, they're going to have immediate impact on how you will understand them and respond to them. And this is where we have those sessions, those webinars, those workshops, where we can build awareness and where we can give you power to empower yourself in understanding what is going on in us as humans, what are the things that we need to work on, and then you can actually implement changes, because any changes into your trading have to come from you. The changes will not happen on their own. The changes have to come from conscious decision making, from you making a decision and consciously and repeatedly trying to change the way you think, change the way you interpret things, change the way you respond to things, change the way you do things before you sit on the charts, after you sit on the charts, when you sit on the charts, how you manage your trades. Because, newsflash, you do have that power. You are more powerful than you think you are. But if you repeatedly will be telling yourself that you are not, that you don't have that power, that the markets are against you, that the markets makers are against you, that the broker is against you, believe me, that's what you're going to believe. And subconsciously, you will be keep on sabotaging yourself. But it is hard sometimes to tell ourselves that we have the power, because taking that empowerment takes accountability, and accountability takes courage to be real with yourself and face up to the things that you don't want to face up to, because majority of your answers are in the work that you are avoiding to do. Majority of the things and your solutions to your trading performance are sitting within the subjects that you are avoiding to face. Okay, so this is the reason why I want to dig in deep, because maybe talking about nervous system will not open up one person's mind, but you may another. Maybe when I'm going to talk about more psychological level about stress is going to open up another person's mind. So I always want to cover all bases, okay? And understanding your stress and the advantages and disadvantages from the biological perspective is also very essential, because you need to understand how you naturally respond as a human to the external world, and not just external world, but the internal world. You have to understand that, because once you do, you can take more objective stance when a stressful situation occurs, because this is when you can actually face the situation and think, okay, I can feel my body responding to this situation. I can feel my heart beating faster. I can feel that I am feeling nervous. I can feel I've got an upcoming tension headache. And when your body gives you those signals, this is where you can decide whether you are going to disengage from the situation because you may perhaps make bad decisions, or if you are going to utilize the power that your body is actually giving you through those signals and actually utilize that to focus. And I'm going to explain why. So when you are faced on a biological level, well, when you are faced in life from external world with any stressful situation, you will automatically start having biological response. Okay, and this is what is called the nervous system. So what you will experience is the fight or flight response or freeze. So that actually part to it. So fight is it is all kind of based on, you know, survival instincts. So if you saw a lion charging towards you, there will be two instincts. Instinct number one, you will charge at the lion, which is the fight, and you will start fighting the lion. Number two is you're going to flight and you are going to run away from the lion. Or number three, which is also very common, freeze. You will see the danger, but your body will actually make you unable to move. So those are the three that are important for you to acknowledge about yourself when you are faced with challenging situation in life or on the charts. What are you feeling? Are you feeling like you want to fight back? You feeling like you want to shut down? Because I make it relatable to trading to you. When you may feel the fight is when you will charge at the charts and say, no, let me buy. I lost, let me buy again. Let me buy again. Let me put 40 lots. Let me put another 40 lots. And this is the fight response. The flight response is where you took a bad trade or you over traded or whatever, and you switch off your computer, you shut your laptop, you run away. And you disengage with your trading community, with your mentor, and you pretend like it hasn't happened. You're just like, no, I'm done. And the freeze in trading is very often experienced by the traders who have the analysis paralysis. When they see, they plan, play out, and the price coming to the entry, but they struggle to pull the trigger. They experience that freeze moment when they actually do not execute their trade and they watch their trade run without them. Okay. However, your response is, like I said, hugely interpreted by nothing other than your thoughts. This is how fast it happens. So when a situation happens, boom, your thoughts interpret it, but on a subconscious level. And we talked about it. We talked about the filtering process of conscious and subconscious. And through the subconscious, your thoughts, your belief systems, your past experiences will tell you whether that situation is dangerous or not. And this is where we have to take that conscious effort into rebuilding our subconscious. So then when a dangerous situation happens, we don't see it as dangerous. We're familiar with it and we know what to do. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the biology because it's really interesting. So in an average adult, your nervous system, okay, so what you are seeing here, so I want to pay attention to the drawing that we have here. So what you're seeing here, those are not bones, by the way. The blue is not the bones. Those are the parts of your nervous system. So all the particles that are running through you, okay? So all of those capillaries, that's what they actually are called, all of those, okay, they stretch to almost 100,000 miles, okay? So that's how your nervous system, that's how intuitive it is. There's 100 miles of little capillaries inside of you. And those are your smallest blood vessels that are measuring like 5 micrometers in diameter, okay? And they make up 80% of this length. So to help you compare that, the circumference of the Earth is around 25,000 miles. So your nervous system, which is 100,000 miles because it's made up of those little diameter thingies, can wrap the world 4 times. That's crazy. It blows my mind. So now, outside of the fight or flight, or not outside of fight or flight, as you experience the fight or flight, you will likely to experience increased heart rate. You may potentially break out in sweat, and you may get dilated pupils. You may get heavier breathing response, and that is actually your body preparing you for action. So you know how we have given an example from survival, where if the lion was attacking you, you would either fight, flight, or freeze. If you would fight or even flight, this is where The reason your heart rate is increasing, the reason you break in sweat, the reason your pupils dilate, the reason that you have a heavier breathing is because it prepares your body for the action, to run or to fight. So your heart is running faster to circulate the blood faster, so the adrenaline kicks in and you are stronger and you don't really feel the pain then. This is where in fighting, that is very, common, that people don't feel that pain until afterwards. This is where your breathing becomes heavier and your lungs open up so you can run faster, So all of those things, you can start perceiving or feeling them, but then you can actually think of it as, okay, I'm not scared. Important. It's all about interpretation, because remember, you have a choice how you are going to perceive it. And remember that you have a choice in thinking, my body is freaking out right now. Oh my God, my heart is, going faster. And people start panicking. Or you can think, my body is powerful. My body right now is preparing me. It's giving me signals and it's preparing me for the right response. And it really is, I really can't stress this enough, it really is about interpretation of what is going on and how your body is responding and what you're going to do with that situation. Because very often in the world, we can see people being faced with the tiniest inconvenience and they freak out. And we can see people being almost punished by life. And they still have that strength and that lion's heart. And they like, nah, I continue going. I continue moving forwards because they perceive those situations as opportunities for growth. And I give you an example of Elon Musk. I don't know whether you remember, but they had a rocket launch and it failed. Okay, I think every single one of them failed so far. But when it failed, they were cheering. Do you know why? First of all, acknowledging how far they got. And secondly, they knew how much they can learn from that failed situation. That is the mindset. Imagine now facing the situation and thinking, oh my God, I failed, I'm done. You're never done, you never failed. And this is how I want you to also perceive your body, that your body is actually trying to help you, that your brain is trying to help you, but you have to understand it. You have to understand why your body is engaging in a fight or flight, is to help you survive. You have to understand why your brain is trying to convince you to take another trade, because it's trying to help you survive. But that doesn't mean you have to give in to those animalistic instincts, but instead become knowledgeable about them, understand them, have an insight and a plan of what to do next. Okay, so I want to share with you actually another study. So there has been another psychological study done where participants were told that the pounding heart is preparing them for action. You're breathing faster to get more oxygen to your brain. And participants who viewed stressful situation as helpful for their performance, they were actually less stressed out and less anxious. And actually, they became more confident. And not only that, but their physical response changed. It showed evidence that with your thoughts and belief system about the situation, you can change the physiology of your own body. And I want to show you with an exercise, a very simple exercise, how I can change physiology of your body. Okay, I don't know how many of you are here, but I believe that a lot of you here on X and a lot of you on YouTube, maybe not as many, I don't know. But I want you to trust me here. My camera is on, your camera is not on. So I can't see you and I can only trust you that you're going to follow my instructions now. Only perform this exercise if you're not driving, if you are at home. or not doing anything else, okay? So I want you to close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes and just listen to my instructions. I want you to close your eyes, and I assume all of you like pizza. And now I want you to think about your favorite pizza, whether it's thin base, whether it's on a deep base, whether it has cheese on it or not. I want you to also think about your favorite toppings on that pizza. Think about the base, think about those toppings, think about the cheese on the pizza. I want you now to think about delivery man bringing that pizza straight to your door. You open the door and the smell of the pizza hits you. You grab the box and you go to the kitchen, you open it up and you bite into it. You can taste it. I guarantee that every single one of you who likes pizza has more saliva in their mouth. And I've done that exercise with some of you already. And I guarantee you do, because that is the precise power of your brain, that just with your thoughts, you can alter the physiology of your biology, of your brain, of your responses, of whether you're going to feel more anxious or not anxious, what kind of hormones are going to pump through your body. All of that power sits within your thoughts. I'm going to tell you, because people forget about it. You are the master of your thoughts. You are. You've got full control over your thoughts. You think you don't, but you do. All you have to do is consciously start thinking about things, and your brain will try to take that control away from you, but you have the whole control over it. And you can alter the biological response of your body. So now it is about how you perceive the situation, okay? But let's say you're still working through your limiting beliefs and you're still not at the level where something stressful happens, and you still will have that physiological strong response where perhaps you out of breath, where your heart is beating faster. Perhaps that's going to happen. But remember that you can calm your physiology down with about what you think. And you know why? Because there is this secret that I guess coaching gurus are using, okay? And they don't share why they are using it. And the reason is, and there is scientific evidence for it, your brain does not know the difference between the reality and what you are thinking. That's why it is so important what you watch on social media, what movies and films that you watch, who you are friends with, who you're around, who you speak to, what you think about. Because if you consistently as a trader going to think about burning your account and hitting your daily loss, that's consistently what's going to happen. If you're consistently going to think about failing or focusing on not having money or focusing on being in a negative situation, your brain will think that's what's happening and that's what we're dealing with. That's why you will feel you constantly stressed. But if you actually are in that challenging situation, because that's just the way life is, and unfortunately, we can't always thrive, and we will be faced with challenging situations. If you're going to tell yourself, no, I will achieve this, I will do this, if you're going to tell yourself those things, you can. And this is not just saying, oh, do you know what, I'm going to tell myself I'm going to be a millionaire, let me just put my feet up and wait. No, it has to be followed by action. Of course it has to be followed by action, but those thought processes and what you think and what you feed yourself meant to help you with the momentum. It meant to give you that balance. It meant to give you empowerment But you need to spend time on empowering yourself as much as you're spending time on the charts and on working on the strategy. You need to strategize about yourself. You need to comprehend the knowledge, you need to utilize that knowledge, and you need to strategize about getting to know yourself. What is the baseline? What are the things you're dealing with? What are the past experiences that are holding you down? What are your positives? Because so many of you think about the negatives about your situation. You think about the lack of things in your life. But think about the things that are actually working out for you. Because, you know, yin and yang, in every good, there is a little bit of bad, and in every bad, there is a little bit of good. Also, that's life. In every good situation, there is something bad. But in every bad situation, there is something good. There is always an opportunity for growth, for resilience, for building our skills. Because despite of your circumstances, despite of the challenges, there is one thing that nobody will ever be able to take away from you. And that's your skills. And that's what you're going to learn. And you should spend time on strategizing on the charts, but outside of the charts too, because your growth in the markets at certain point has to happen away from the charts. And by away from the charts, I mean here, within you, within your heart, within your mind, within understanding yourself, how you function. You've got the baseline of me explaining how humans function, but then you need to relate it to you. I can't relate it to you. You have to relate it to you because you know you the best. You're trying to hide from yourself, but you know yourself best. And you know when you are interpreting things negatively all the time. And I am telling you right now that you have the power to alter your biology. You have the power to alter your neurology. You have the power of what type of hormones will come through your body. All that power is here, I assure you. So now I want you to think about, okay, well, you know, yes, I will still experience biological response. And, you know, I do. And I tell you the reason for it. So, you know, when I first started coaching, for example, it was unusual for me to talk to hundreds of people at the same time. And very often at the start of the session, or before you even started, I would feel anxious. I would feel anxious and I would feel like my heart was pumping, etc., etc. That was just my natural response because I did not have as much experience then. I was not doing it as much, and it was just nerve-wracking experience. But I was able to take control within the spoken word, how I would calm myself down. And I want you to think about it this way, because sometimes it is a lot easier to detach. So I want you to then always think about the situation. What would you say to your friend? Okay, because it is so much easier sometimes to give advice to another human being, to your friend, to your relative. You can actually give a golden advice to them. When it comes to yourself, you struggle to think, was this right? Was that not right? Is it this? Is it that? So what is helpful, and this is why I suggest it, is like journaling, because you put the problem in front and then you can look at the problem from the external point of view, because it's not in your mind anymore, it's externally there. And then you can decide, okay, what are the solutions to this? What is the best way of approaching it? And this is where now I want you to think like that about your biological response, your nervous system, you know, and how you've got that fight or flight response, how you may have pumping heart, how your palms may get sweaty, how you will recognize all of those biological responses. But then I want you to kind of think about it differently now. And I want you to think about, like I said, in a more positive manner, not in a manner that you're experiencing anxiety, but in a manner that you are experiencing empowerment, that your body is speaking to you and preparing you for adequate action to the situation. And this is up to you, like I said, to make a decision whether you can utilize that situation into the positive, or whether you should avoid this situation because you potentially may not be able to make good decisions at the time. So when we experience the fight or flight response, when our body is preparing us for action of some sort, this is where I want you to think about that. This is where your brain has increased power. This is where actually your attention to detail is going to be better. And if you think about, again, my favorite domain, which is athletes, they feel stressed. And before they go on to the performance, this is where their body will prepare them in a biological way to perform. And I'm thinking about Usain Bolt here when he's sprinting, and his body will prepare him to do all of those things. And this is the reason why when you may give presentation, when you may have intense trading session, afterwards you will feel really tired because your body is working overtime, preparing you to increase your productivity, concentration, improve your memory and your decision making. So this is where this is your performance, and genuinely through the perception of what you are experiencing, you can actually increase your attention to detail and not kind of feel lost, but zone in on the situation. And it really is proven that at your optimal arousal, this is where the optimal performance is met. But there is a difference because remember, I said that you can experience stress from low to moderate to extreme. And of course, when the stress is going to tip over, this is where it's going to impair your anxiety. So this is where you have to establish yourself what works, what doesn't work. And this is where during the workshop, now that we have opened up the topic, now you're going to have time to think about the topic. On Wednesday, I am going to prepare for you a self-assessment tool, and I will want you to develop a personalized stress management plan where you, based on certain situations, you will know what to do and what not to do. And that is extremely important because, as we said, you as trader, you are your own business. You are running your own business, but the key person in your business is you. There's nobody else that's going to do it for you. Nobody else that's going to take the responsibility. Nobody else that is going to learn. It has to be you. You don't have employees. You don't have board of directors to advise you. You don't have other managers or supervisors to help you make the decision. It's you. It's on you. The success is on you, and the failures are on you. The good decisions are on you, and the bad decisions are on you. You are responsible for the full cycle of that business. And this is where you have to implement not only protocols on the charts based on what is the trading plan, what is my strategy, what's my entry criteria, what's my exit criteria, what's my risk management. We also have to implement protocols of human resources and how the human part, the resourceful part of the strategy, which is the human, how am I going to handle them? And them is you. And you know yourself the best. So you will have to develop protocols on, okay, in this situation, based on my experience, based on getting to know myself better under that subject, this is what I have to do. Those are the things I need to implement. And it's your job to do it. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody is going to tell you a magic formula, this has to be done. It's you that has to get it done. And I'm going to give you all of the resources, all of the support, and all of the knowledge that I have. And this is where you will be able to recognize whether the way that you are feeling, because look, let's just face it and let's just be clear. Overall trading, if you look at it at the face value, can be perceived as a stressful job. And it is because, like I said, and like we say all the time, you have to predict what's going to happen for the rest of today, the rest of the few hours, depending on what type of trader you are, or for the next hour or 2 hours or next 15 minutes if you're a scalper. That's your job as a trader. So overall, just looking at that situation, pretty stressful situation to be faced with. Okay, so this is where your job is to understand yourself on the level where you know whether, in terms of the arousal, so this is the stress that you are going to experience, whether it is at the low, whether you are peaking and you actually can utilize the way that you are feeling to your best performance, when you are feeling focused, when you are flowing with the market, or whether it's actually the stress is tipping, and this is where your performance is going to decline, because that level of stress, when it tips over the edge, is going to, like we said, decrease the activity in your frontal lobe and decrease your logical thinking, critical thinking, and increase emotional part of the brain. So it is up to you to understand that about yourself, because we all do have different levels of interpreting things and seeing things. And remember, you may be faced with the smallest inconvenience and your world will just shatter to pieces, while other person will be faced with 10 times worse situation than you have been, and they will say, brilliant, I can learn from this. It's all about perception. It's all about perception and what you are going to do with what you are given. And you know what? We're given a lot. We are given a lot already. This is the best time to be a trader. You get free information on YouTube in terms of trading psychology, in terms of strategies. You get the potential to do, challenges and pass phase one, phase two of the challenge to then trade with a larger capital and get a payout. It's the best time to be a trader. Even in terms of spreads, the spreads that people had to trade with 30 years ago, they were like 50 points or something like that, not 5 pips, I mean 50 pips. We are spoiled. It's the best time. The only at the moment, and I'm going to be just so truthful about it. The only thing stopping you from succeeding is yourself. That's it. You are given everything. We have free information. We're given opportunity in terms of money, psychology, technicals, talking to people online, reaching people, having access to people from all over the world. We are given everything. But still, the only person stopping ourselves from getting to where we want to be is us. So that is why it's so crucial to work on yourself, to get to know yourself. You are the key person in your success. You, not the strategy you're going to engage with, not the next person you're going to speak with. No, you. You are the person who's in control. But you have to get to know yourself. What I may perceive as my peak performance might be the level that is overwhelming you. And it all comes through experience. It all comes through the work that you're going to do on yourself. All of those things have really, really huge impact on how you are going to perceive your peak performance and how you're going to reach your peak performance. And all of that will be constantly changing, because you will be constantly growing. You will be moving forward. You will be working on yourself. You will be improving your strategy. You will be, getting maybe financially more comfortable. And all of those factors will be rolling forward and having an impact on when your peak performance is happening, because what you might be perceiving and what you biologically will be responding to as, quite overwhelming situation, as you work on yourself, it will become easier. So now when you see traders, some traders still feel extremely nervous before they execute a trade. But then obviously as experience goes by, as time goes by, as they have that legitimate proof of getting paid consistently, they get more and more confident with their execution. It's not as anxiety provoking anymore. As I have given you an example of coming to do live sessions as a coach, years ago when I started, it was nerve-wracking for me. Now, I don't feel nervous. I feel excited. I can't wait to do those sessions. And after those sessions, I feel great. I love speaking to you guys. I love providing value, especially when I see that people engaging, they love I love it. I don't feel nervous now. But that all changed with experience, with keep on exposing myself to the same situation, understanding that actually that's my opportunity for growth. Or imagine if I consistently said to myself, you can't do this, you suck at this, don't do this, don't do that, then doesn't matter how skillful you are, how knowledgeable you are, if you're consistently going to tell yourself, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, you can't. You can't. Okay? So you can, with the knowledge of yourself, increase your productivity. You can increase your concentration, and you have even improved your memory and decision making. And this is why it's so important to acknowledge all of those things. Now, moving on. Let's talk about stress management. And this part of the session is going to be hugely discussed during our workshop on Wednesday at 6 p.m. UK time. Okay. And this is where we are going to talk more about interpretation and about control. And focusing on the things that you can control, but also how we can interpret things differently and how you can record how you are interpreting things at the moment. Because remember, you can only change something you collect data on. And this, as traders, we know this because we need to understand how we trade, how we approach things, what entries work for us best in order to change them. So we need to collect data. Based on data, we make those decisions. We also have to make decisions based on the data that is more qualitative. So quantitative data is more numbers, which is all about trading, but qualitative data is more words, and those words are relatable to us. So when we see certain patterns that we always interpret X and Y situation as, you know, wasted situation, a situation you've not utilized on, something that you're failing at, you will start seeing patterns. Like you start seeing those patterns, you can change them, and you think, wow, every time I'm faced with X, Y, and Z situation, I do X, Y, and Z. You know, and this is where planning will come into play, and all of those different things that can help you. And interpreting and controlling our response to stressful situations is an art. But I want you to start easy. I want you to start easy. You're with me, yeah? I want you to start easy. I want you to notice, how do you respond to any stressful situation in your life? Forget markets. How do you respond to the situation when you are driving and someone cuts in front of you? How do you respond to a situation that you are out and your phone dies? How do you respond to a situation where you lose your bank card, for example? How do you respond to a situation where, because of someone cutting you as you are driving, being late somewhere? How do you respond to those small inconveniences in your life that actually don't really matter, but you give so much value to them that it just becomes this big deal? And when it becomes a big deal, you're just stressing yourself out and feeding your body those negative hormones, cortisol, the stress hormone, consistently, and your body consistently runs on fight or flight mode, which is exhausting. You don't need to run like that all the time. I want you to start controlling the little things in your life. How are you going to respond to those little inconveniences? And when you can't find your keys and you try to blame your partner and say, where are my keys? You displaced my keys. Or when you actually approach things calmly and you're like, okay, I can take this. Because that's where your success in trading starts. Genuinely. Drive a car, don't get annoyed at anybody around you. Let them be wrong. Let's say they were so wrong about cutting in front of you, about taking over, about stopping, or whatever that might be. Watch how you respond. What's your immediate response? Because if your immediate response is negative, that's exactly what you do in the charts. That's exactly what you do on the charts. When the inconvenience happens, you're like, whoa, can't deal with this, let me respond. This is where you need to start controlling yourself in your external environment. I promise you, start consciously observing yourself. At the end of each day, say, okay, how have I handled the things in my external world? Your colleagues, situations at work, with children. Just think about all of those things, because genuinely, when I got to the point, there's not such a thing as inconvenience to me. There isn't. There isn't, because I look at the world from the biggest scale, and the small inconveniences that I am experiencing are privilege. That's how I see it. That is going to help you majorly. I really, really promise you. And the reason why it is important as well, because as much as we can utilize stress to be positive in our life, stress can have, long-term stress, a very negative impact on you as a person. Because if it builds over time, long term, it can really have negative effect, even on your immune system. And yes, we said it's all about believing. Of course it is. It's about taking the situation at the face value. But if you believe also the negative, and you respond negatively to everything in your life, the small inconvenience, the big inconvenience, your body knows no difference. What's good, what's bad anymore, everything's bad. And your body's constantly experiencing stress. It's bad for you. So don't let unmanaged stress to become harmful. And stress will happen, but it is all about what we're going to do with it. Okay? Now, if you're here for the first time, I would encourage you to also watch, I would encourage you to watch all of the webinars, because I think you can find a lot of different useful information for growth in trading psychology, in trading, and just in general personal growth, I would say. But one of the major things that I want you to take away from this session, which is not over yet because I've got one more thing to talk about, is that with controllability and controlling yourself, with controllability, it becomes a responsibility. Responsibility. So you have an ability to respond in the way that you want to. But that only comes when you start being accountable for the way that you do things. And I, again, will relate to external world. Are you the type of person that will argue your corner in an argument with your partner's spouse, family member, even though when you know you're wrong, you will still argue your side? Or are you the type of person that is ready to say, do you know what, I was wrong, you're right, that's why I need to improve? That's accountability, and that gives you control. People think that saying such a thing is going to take the control away from them, but actually that gives you control, because you are aware and you know what works and what doesn't work. And really, all of those things can have huge impact on trading, because we cannot separate external world from trading world. It all goes hand to hand, because at the end of the day, we are the person who runs that business. And trading doesn't just switch off or switch on. It's all part of the same continuum. The way that you are will have an impact the way that you are on the charts. People who are very confident on day-to-day basis tend to be confident on the charts. People who sometimes are more shy tend to be more shy on the charts. All of those things are interlinked and they have an impact. That's why it is so important for you to understand it. Now, I've got a CIA framework for you, not the type of CIA that you think about, but it is really just simple. And this is something that you can really ask yourself when you are feeling anxious, when you are feeling stressed, when you're feeling overwhelmed, whilst you're in the trade, before you enter a trade, or in any situation in your life. CIA framework. And C stands for genuine question, can I control this? And you have to answer yourself whether you can control the situation. I stands for, can I influence this situation? Can I influence it? And A stands for acceptance, and accepting whether you can or cannot control something at this very time. And really asking yourself such simple questions can have profound impact on how you are going to handle things on your trading journey. So, for example, let's think about a losing streak, okay? So, let's say you're on a losing streak and you're feeling stressed because you consecutively are losing. You are in drawdown on your funded account, let's say, and obviously that will have impact on your confidence, and you may start second guessing yourself or your analysis or your strategy. So then let's go through the sequence. Control. Can I control my decision making? Can I review my strategy? Can I review the markets on daily basis? Can I look at my data as overall? Is this losing streak normal? Is it based on my strategy, or is it based on my poor decision making or timing? Influence. How can I influence? By reflecting on your trade, by understanding the reasons behind your losses, by understanding and learning instead of kind of allowing for that having an impact on your confidence. Dig into it. Why did I lose this trade? Was it something to do with timing? I know, for example, that based on my strategy, timing is crucial. And when I take it through different times of the day, even though the strategy is the same, it will have an impact on my probability, essentially. Then acceptance is literally accepting that losses are part of my trading and maintaining that perspective and balance and seeing, based on my data, having 5 losses in a row is something that happens because I know that once a winner comes, it's going to take out all of those losses or at least put me back in some positive. Let's think about overtrading. So affected by stress and not meeting your, let's say, targets in terms of your challenge, the trader becomes starts overtrading and kind of trying to recoup their losses, and it kind of start behaving in an impulsive way and making poor decisions, and obviously there's going to be increased stress. So then again, you have to ask yourself very simple questions. Can I control the trading frequency? How many trades I enter per day? Whether I trade on my phone, on my laptop, do I have, just ask yourself, do I have control about how many trades per day do I take? Yes. Can I influence the approach by committing to my trades through analysis and all of that? Okay. Those are the things that you need to ask yourself. And then you need to ask yourself whether you are accepting what the outcome is. So all of those things have to have an impact on your decision making, and it's really, really easy way of understanding it. I'm sorry, my camera has switched off for some reason, so I'm going to continue without it. So now, as I have mentioned, you need to consider the things under a very simple framework. And as you will do that, it will really, really help you to identify simple things that you thought you have no control over, but you really, really do. Through just applying those things, you can apply those things through simplicity in terms of all of that. So thank you so much, guys. This is going to be the end of our session. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you. And on Wednesday at 6 p.m., we are going to have a session, okay, where we are going to kind of implement all of the knowledge and theory from this session into actually trading itself. So like I said, I'm going to prepare for you the assessment that you can see your stress levels yourself. And then I'm going to prepare for you kind of management plan, stress management plan. So based on you understanding what works and what doesn't work for you, you can then prepare and kind of develop a solution for every situation that you might be faced with. And you will know which situations are going to influence you the most in terms of negative and positive, and what are the best solutions for each situation. So thank you so much, guys. If you do have any questions, please do let me know. I do apologize for my camera falling off. So please do let me know if there is anything. I'm going to just scroll through the questions. I can see wonderful counting of people turning up. Fantastic to have you here. Great message, great teachings, great greetings to everyone. Hello, hello. Funding Peeps also cares about the health of its traders and is the only prep who does this. Thank you so much. Giveaways, perhaps we will consider. What do we have recorded? I opened my eyes when I heard pizza. Okay, Paulina's a goat. Okay, okay, fantastic. Thank you for your positive feedback. It is great to hear that you are resonating with the topics. And I am very looking forward already to Wednesday when we can make it more actionable and we can support you in implementing things into your trading and having that control and mechanisms to help you implement things where you can implement control. Because you know what? One of the most important things is to, when you have knowledge and when you have insight, to know how to put it into action. Because by actually putting it into action, you will be able to have systems in place, and systems are what makes us profitable and what makes us sustain our trading success. So without further ado, I'm going to say goodbye, guys. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all on Wednesday. Take care and have a fantastic evening. Bye bye.